Hey everybody, this is Todd and Barnett here. Just give me a second here so I can study the phone here. I don't know what happened. My phone kept screwing up. Facebook, for some reason, crashed, and the live streaming kept crashing twice, in fact. So this is the third time I'm going to try it. So this is a third live stream video that I'm doing. And there's basically, I'm going to try this now. Last night I did put up a post saying that I was not going to live stream that night because I was tired after the so-called LP meeting of Macomb County. And it was, wow. I'm still trying to process this whole thing as far as the meeting is concerned, but let's just say that it's been a disaster and a half. Well, actually, more along the lines of a disastrous mixed thing. Some of it was good, some of it was not so good, especially what was said during the meeting. And I was very disenchanted. I was very upset about the whole thing. So this is what happens when you get involved in politics. So politics is a dirty game. Okay, so the so-called meeting of the Macomb County Libertarian Party is a disaster of so many sorts because I was told, okay, here's what happened. I arrived at the Loon River Cafe, which is off of Van Dyke and 15 Mile Road, just on the west side. And simply put, I asked where the Libertarian Party of Macomb County was, and they said, well, right over here. You know, they took me to a different room, and there were 5 other people there. 2 of the people I recognized, 3 other people I didn't know very well. One of them I had seen around, but the other, as far as I know, he, like I said, one other person I recognized, he was not someone I knew very well, but there were 2 other elderly people who were, for better or worse, no one I had recognized or ever spoken to before. So they must have been members, around the early part of the 2010s and whatnot, not around the aughts when I was a member of the party. Anyway, it turned out, according to Keith Edwards, who used to be the chair of the Macomb LP, there is officially no Macomb County LP entity as it currently stands. The group dissolved in 2014 simply because of the lack of activism that was going on in the affiliate. And my thing is, well, gee, I know why that happened, but I'll go into that in more detail in a second. The other reason, since then, the Macomb LP dissolved, and it's no more. They just meet up, have dinner, talk about whatever they want to talk about. They barely mention politics, I guess, but if they do, then it's only light discussion, and then they leave. I guess that's been the MO for quite a while now, within the last number of months. So what happened was I showed up. They wanted to know who I was. I said I used to be a member of the Macomb LP years ago. I'm back in the state and national. I've been doing national in some state within the last few years. I mentioned that kind of sort of. Didn't want to go into my entire political history with these people. And that's simply because I felt like I don't owe them anything. And truthfully, I don't. Um, I don't owe them anything, and that's the thing. I don't owe Keith Edwards anything. He is the supreme ruler of what was once called the Macomb LP, but it's not. It's not a county party anymore. I don't even know if you want to call it a county party anymore. So it's rather insulting to call it anything these days. So, but that was the whole deal. I mean, we're talking about Keith Edwards, who is the Macomb County LP, who has been saying all sorts of stuff about the LPM. I said that, I did not get involved with the party at some point because of my illnesses, schooling, other things that were going on in my life. And so he goes, well, there were other things that were that were basically the problem, Todd, and I'm not going to say what they were. I'm like, really? Well, I think I have an idea what he was referring to, and I can't believe he would have the nerve to refer them during an open meeting. It was always a pissing contest between me and Keith Edwards, including his wife, Marnie Edwards. And basically, the crux of the problem was that apparently they don't want to turn it over to people who are inexperienced. He feels that the Libertarian Party won't go anywhere. It'll never get anywhere as it continues to fail and whatnot. And I'm thinking to myself, then why do you consider yourself a Libertarian? Why do you keep, having this loose association of a county LP that no longer exists? He says that he wants to retire, but on the other hand, he wants to keep his hands right where they are, simply because, well, he doesn't want he doesn't want anybody to get a hold of the money. He thinks that just about everybody in the party would be the Jeff Woods of the party. And yes, Jeff, that if you're ever going to be watching this video, he's afraid you might get your hands on that money. He's afraid that anybody might get their hands on that money they collected when they were pretty active during that point. And Scotty Bowman at one point, before all that, joined. So did Mike Saliba. So did Mike Wharton. Who were Mike and Wharton is in Chesterfield with me, since we both live in Chesterfield. Mike Saliba lives in Clinton Township, or closer actually to Detroit or whatever. And also Scotty Bowman showed up at the meeting because he's one of the people involved in the Macomb LP, and he wanted to touch base with Keith. He wanted to find out what was going on. So he attended, and he was asking Keith all sorts of questions. And what happened was Keith was very... I don't know if I should say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Keith is very blunt, but in a very mean way. He's very condescending. He's very arrogant. He's very manipulative, very self-righteous. He thinks that the National LP, for many years, when it was doing something, it should have gone his way. I'm sorry, Keith, but people are individuals. They're going to do what they want, whether you agree with it or not. And and Keith was saying a lot of things during the meeting that I didn't like. For instance, he basically kind of sort of badmouthed State Chair Bill Gyllenhaal. He said that he didn't want anybody to get their hands on the money that his old affiliate had, and he wanted actually to send the remaining balance of that money back to the state party. I don't even know how much is in their bank accounts. I couldn't care less. I didn't go there with the intention of asking for money or asking for all the money that he's collected so that we would actually take ownership of it. We couldn't do it legally even if we wanted to. So I know that he said he was going to bring this up with Bill Hall, one of the Judicial Committee members in the LP of Michigan and whatnot. And Bill Hall, I don't know if he's going to jump right in and get involved in this, but I assume that if he knows what's good for him, that he'll stay out of this, because this is not his decision to make. And Keith Edwards, like I said, he is an asshole. And the reason why activism at the Macomb County LP level has been low for a number of years is because he's driven people away. He's driven me away. He's talked bad about me in the past before. But you know something? People can say the same thing about him. What has he done for the Libertarian movement? What has he done that is so wonderful, so great for the Libertarian movement? He thinks he's so perfect. He's never capable of doing any wrong on his part. And he hasn't done a damn thing. He hasn't been that relevant in the party. So he thinks he can just idly stand by and pretend that, people are just going to bow down before him and do whatever they want. No, I don't want Keith. If I decided to chair the county party, if I'm going to do it with a new Macomb LP, I'm going to do things my way, not his way, not anybody else's way, my way. And it's going to be fresh, it's going to be better, it's going to be new, it's going to be more exciting, it's going to be something that people will be talking about for generations to come. And he really he's a douchebag, but then that's putting it mildly. I was talking to Jim Follner today on the phone for a little bit, and I told him, I'll call between 7 and 9 and we'll talk about what happened at the meeting. We're going to talk about this tonight as well. And Keith wanted to send the money that his old affiliate had to the state party, but they can't. They can't accept the money for one reason. The affiliate must be closed, and that's within the bylaws, the state bylaws. Now, Keith mentioned during the meeting last night that the Libertarian Party of Michigan failed to produce a viable manual as to how to deal with party procedures and whatnot and how to do certain things. Maybe, Keith, but, I haven't seen that manual. Who gets to decide what the manual will and will not be? Is it going to be the powers that be? Is it going to be the LEC if they decide to go along with a party manual? Will it be the membership? Who gets to make all these decisions then? If the decisions are resting at the state level, why would you want to give that money to the state level? Just take the money and use it for what you need. Okay? Mike Wharton suggested the idea of, well, let's use outreach at the activist level. You know, let's do it. Let's use that money for outreach. You know, around August time, there are kids who are going to be going to college. They can set up Operation Politically Homeless booths for kids in college. They can talk to kids who are independent. They're not necessarily Republicans and they're not necessarily Democrats. Why not use that for outreach? Marnie flipped out during the meeting. She was like, oh my God, I can't believe you mentioned that. And how dare you come up with that idea? And Keith basically took a look at the kid and said, no. No. Alrighty then. He said, well, that money is not meant to be for outreach. That money should be to run candidates for office. That's what a political party should be doing. Those are two separate things. You can have money running people for political office, and you can also have another fund set up within the party for outreach, to talk to people about different ideas and so forth. You don't necessarily have to put it into the same account. You could have a couple of accounts dealing with this. Does it have to rest within the general fund of the Libertarian Party of Michigan and you're expecting them to use it responsibly? Give me a break, Keith. If you're not doing any outreach, if you're not going to elect candidates to office, how many people have you elected to the local level here? Because politics actually do start at the local level and at the grassroots level. How many people have you really started, Keith? Really? You're you're 85 years old. You want to retire. You get to a point where this is an elderly man. He said some very unkind things about some other person. And then I found out sometime during the meeting, you're going to love this, guys. You're definitely going to love this. One of the members of the affiliate, apparently a former member of the affiliate, was kicked out of it simply because it turns out he's a drunk, and that is Jim Miller. And Jim Miller was told by the management at the cafe that he's no longer welcome there because of his drinking. Keith said that during the meeting last night, and he said, well, this is the reason why. We don't want him. He's no longer to be invited to the meetings. And I agreed, if Jim Miller is really that disruptive. I've known Jim Miller for a number of years. The guy did come off as pretty much of an asshole in one form or another. But that being said, that's his personality and that's who he is. The last time I spoke with him, he was extremely jaded at the entire system. And it's easy for libertarians to become easily jaded, no matter what happens at the end of the day. So it turns out that he's a drunk. He could go to an AA meeting. I guess he hasn't. So that's the difference here. And this is what happened. And right now, there's going to be an LEC meeting in Lansing on June 12th, or I think it was June 13th. That's what Kim told me. And we're going to be discussing the entire Macomb LP affiliate thing there. I will be there. I will discuss it. And we're going to make a decision whether... I don't care which way we go, whether it's to form a new affiliate or yank the old one. I don't care either way. But then again, I don't want Keith's money. It's like on one hand, there's a conflict here. Scotty mentioned this, and he was trying to process this and see this logically. Okay, How can you say you want to retire when you don't want to give up the party, even though you say on one hand, I want to give it up, on the other hand, I don't want to give it up because it's all about money. It's all about money. That's all it is. It's all about money, folks. This is what it really comes down to. Marnie and Keith don't want the money to go into the hands of other people that they've raised. I don't care what they do with that money. I don't care if they go on a cruise, for all I care. Hell, I don't even care if they go to Italy or a European vacation or whatever, okay? It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. This is going to turn out to be a new affiliate. It may turn out to be a new affiliate. I don't know. Nothing has been officially decided as of yet. But either way, what happens, and by the way, part of the main reason why I wanted to go to the Macomb LP was because I was told by Jeff Wood that Keith had become pro-Trump. And I was expecting to see pro-Trump cards on, like a billboard or something. I was expecting to see something, some kind of a spectacle. No, but there was nothing discussed during about Trump last night when I went there. I got the impression that Keith was not as pro-Trump as Jeff made it out to be. But then again, I haven't been attending every single Macomb LP meeting. So I wouldn't know. But even if that's true, and I don't know because I've seen it, I think Scotty and I came to the conclusion that maybe Jeff took it that way and he was wrong in his assessment. When the Keith Edwards I saw last night didn't come across as being pro-Trump. But he did say he was an independent libertarian, whatever that means. So it could mean anything. He's not for the Republican Party. He did say that he's not pro-Republican. But it's like, it's hard to read Keith because it's like on one hand, he's not able to make up his mind one way or the other where he's going to go with this. And that's the real honest to God truth, folks. So, that was what was discussed. The managers did discuss with me about the Jim Miller situation, why he was kicked out. Well, you have no right to kick me out. I didn't do anything wrong. And apparently Jim Miller was being disruptive, abusive, and he was told never to come back there again. He was told never to show his face there again. I had no idea it had gotten out of hand that way, but that's exactly what we were told. So it was me, Mike Saliba, Scotty Bowman, and Mike Wharton who were there, along with Keith and Marnie. The other two people who were there had already left. They didn't want to stick around. And it was me, Marnie, Dan, and then also it was it was me, Keith, Marnie, Dan, Mike, and Scotty who were there. So that's a total of 7 people there during the night, and we were talking about this. But apparently Marnie decided to leave, and she basically attacked, like I said, she had attacked Mike Ward.